Hi everybody, welcome back to AFTV. My name's Laurie. I've got Lee Judges with me in the studio and we have some breaking news and it's not all good, I'm afraid. At the manager's press conference today, prior to the game against Sheffield United tomorrow, Mikel Arteta has revealed that Arsenal have suffered a double injury blow with both Gabriel Jesus and Thomas Partey ruled out possibly for the next few weeks due to muscular injuries. I believe Gabriel Jesus is a hamstring injury that he suffered in the win against Sevilla during the week. Thomas Partey, we're led to believe it could be an injury picked up in training. The manager, he didn't put a specific time on it, but he did say that the two of them could miss the next few weeks, which I've calculated could be 5 matches. Sheffield United tomorrow, West Ham in the EFL Cup on the 1st of November, Newcastle away on the 4th of November, the Sevilla return game on the 8th of November, and Burnley on the 11th. Now, Lee, that is not great news going into tomorrow's game. What's your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, it's not great news. Well, I think we all suspected it with Jesus after seeing the injury picked up on Tuesday in Seville. I have to say that, looking at that, no surprise, it's probably about minimum 3 weeks. So if you take that into account, that takes him past the international break. So it should be fit and available after the international break, which I think is Brentford away. I think he'll definitely be available for that one. Thomas Partey, well, let's be honest with that one. We don't really know because it just seems to be one injury after the other. But what I will say about Thomas Partey's injury is we know that Declan Rice can replace him in there. But now, I don't care who it is, Laurie, I don't care. But someone has got to come in now and nail that number 8 position, right, because Thomas Partey now, he was all looking forward to that with Declan Rice probably just pushing on a little bit further. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen in the foreseeable future. Someone has to now step up and take that role. Jorginho can do it short-term, long-term. When we play a different style of play, I wouldn't be against him playing against Newcastle. But particularly in these games when you're playing against teams that are going to defend, you need someone in that attacking option, that number 8 role that's going to break the lines, make things happen from midfield. A little bit like what Granit Xhaka done. I don't care if it's Havertz, Vieira, Smith Rowe. Someone has got to nail that position now, Laurie, to take us forward. If none of them nail it, then in January I expect Arsenal to make a signing. But listen, there was 2 holding midfielders available in the summer. We didn't go for them. So I don't know where we're going to go. But for me, Thomas Partey, is just not reliable no more. We just can't rely on him being fit and staying fit, Laurie, if I'll be really honest. I love him as a player, don't get me wrong, but, reliability is a big thing here.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, we all know his talents as a player. That cannot be in dispute. However, the injuries have become an increasing concern. And already this season, he's missed a number of games, set to miss possibly another 5 on the bounce. I mean, it's just not really acceptable, is it? I mean, it's not his fault, but at the same time, we're not getting value for money, and crucially, it could cost us.
No, exactly that. It's not his fault, and listen, it's nothing. We're not digging at Thomas Partey here as an individual, as a player. We know how good he is, but what also it's doing is putting pressure on the squad, Laurie, because we're one down. We're one man down with all these games coming up. As you just said, in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 games, and if you look at them, all difficult games now. Someone now can't be rotated in and out of that squad because Thomas Partey's not available. Mm-hmm. So someone's going to have to do a little bit more work, and then may, dare I say it, putting a little bit more pressure on Declan Rice, and then if he breaks down, we're in massive trouble.
Don't even talk about that.
Yeah, I know, but that's what we're doing by not being able to rotate and leave him out. I think that we'll leave him out against West Ham, but I think El Neni will have to try and step up into that game. But I just feel that we're in a little bit of trouble with this position. But listen, Declan Rice can fill the Thomas Partey role, no problems whatsoever. Let's be really honest about it. As good as Thomas Partey has been, we have not missed him like we have done in previous times. Why? Because of Declan Rice. But what it is now, look how good Declan Rice was on Tuesday. We're now taking him, putting him in a hole. Who is going to step into that other role now, Laurie?
Let's talk about it. There are a few guys that, let's face it, they're on the periphery of the team at the moment. You mentioned Jorginho, obviously, he's played a few games recently, but you did speak about Havertz, you did speak about Vieira, you'd spoken about El Neni also. Which of those do you think is most suited to the role? I mean,
Well, I don't know. I really don't know. Like, you know what I mean? The one that I think if you know, when you spend £65 million on a player, which Mikel has done, I would think that he's thinking it's going to be Kai Havertz, but Kai hasn't really set the world alight at this moment in time, Laurie. He's going to have to step up now. I hear the song and you know, Kai Havertz has scored again. Well, he hasn't scored again. He's scored one penalty, like, you know. So he's got to step up if it is him now and nail this position. It's so, you know, otherwise Arsenal are going to be struggling, Laurie, because you cannot continue to be not getting someone. It's an important role. Look how key it was last season. You know, I don't think Arsenal.
It's a very important role.
Yeah, I don't think Arsenal have competed. You know, look the same without Granit Xhaka in there. Like, you know, we let Granit Xhaka go for whatever reason, but we haven't replaced that yet. And you know, we are now into nearly November, and we're saying we've not replaced Granit Xhaka. Come on, you know, someone has to step up. If it's not going to be,
it's interesting you mentioned about Havertz as well. Is that when you talk about Havertz, you speak to people that are advocates of his, and one of the things they'll always tell you, they'll say he can play in a few positions. So they'll say he can play up front, he can play in midfield. So surely then, if he can play in midfield, and he is this player that, you know, a lot of people proclaim him to be, then he should be able to perform a role in the side in that way. So
yeah. 100% agree. And if you can't perform and do the business at home against Sheffield United, we've got a problem, Laurie. We've got a problem. So we need to make this work, and he needs to step up. I think that he will. I think that I've seen enough of him to think that there is a player there, but it's now or never for him. Like, you know what I mean? Because with this Thomas Partey injury again, we you know. It's another 4 or 5 games. You know, someone's got to come in for 5 games. And what's been happening, Laurie, is if you have a look at it, Jorginho's had a couple of games in there. Kai Havertz has had a couple of games in there. Vieira's had a couple of games in there. None of them have nailed it. So maybe it's a time for somebody else.
Who's your preferred option in that role?
My preferred option is Kai Havertz, because I want that to work. You know what I mean? That's the one the manager spent £65 million on. If you're not going to make that work, then there's something clearly wrong with why you actually signed him. So I want that to work. I want Kai Havertz to be a success. But if so I'd like to see him in that role against Sheffield United. If it doesn't happen if he's not in that role in Sheffield United, when are you going to be playing him? Well, and where is a big question. But if you're not going to go Kai Havertz, I'm saying, right, okay, let's see what Smith Rowe can do, because we've seen all the others and it's not quite been right.
No, Fabio Vieira, no?
Vieira's done well, but Vieira come in for a couple of games, Laurie, and we haven't seen him since.
Yeah, this is it, you see.
So I don't know. I don't really see the, you know, like when you look at it, Laurie, and being really honest about it, Vieira, like, you know, you're saying, all right, give it to Vieira. Well, last week against Chelsea, he wasn't even in the squad. He was left out of the, you know, couldn't get into the actual match day squad. So
and let's be honest, this is a player that we spent a decent amount of money on, 35 million, and he came to the club with a, you know, let's face it, a good reputation. A lot was expected of him. I think it's fair to say he's not delivered so far. That doesn't mean to say he doesn't have the talent. I think a lot of people see him as a bit lightweight in midfield. I don't know what your thoughts are, Lee, but certainly.
Yeah, listen, I like Vieira. I like him, and if listen, if it's Vieira, he needs to nail it as well. Like, you know. You've been at the club for, you know, my conversation will be with him is, you've been at the club for a year now. I don't know where your best position is. You need to nail a position down. When you get your opportunity, you must take it. I don't think that none of them have took it. You can talk about Smith Rowe as well. I don't think that he's really come in and said, right, I can't leave him out yet. None of them have played in that role, and you've turned around and gone, we can't leave him out now. Someone has to.
One of the things I always say about injuries and things like this is that whilst they're unfortunate, on the plus side, on the positive side, like you said, Lee, offers somebody the opportunity to come in and stake their claim. Many a player have come in when there's been an injury to another player and have come in and done well, and in many cases have made that role their own. So we're hoping that one of those guys that you just mentioned there, your Jorginhos, your Fabio Vieiras, your Kai Havertz, even your El Nenes, people like that. This is an opportunity for them to come in and to stake their claim so that when Partey is available, the manager's got a decision to make. Then he's thinking, you know what? Yes, Partey was out, but such and such has come in. He's done such a good job that I don't think I can leave him out. So that's,
Exactly that, Laurie. That is exactly it. And that's got to happen to the front player now, whoever that been. And that's out of two players. Well,
I was going to say, of the two, Partey and Jesus, I think possibly Jesus' injury could be even more telling. I mean, hopefully not. But, Jesus, as we saw against Seville the other day, was outstanding on the day. I see Robbie gave him a 10 in his post-match assessment. Man of the match, brilliant performance, scored one and made one, quality. Now, if he's out for a while, and let's face it, he's not just an excellent player, he's one of the leaders of the team. You're looking for someone to come in there and really stake their claim in that position. Eddie's had a couple of goes. Trossard's gone up front on occasion. But again, no one's really nailed it when Jesus not been there. And again, this is a position that Havertz could possibly take up.
Yeah.
Is there any obvious replacements in your view?
Well, I think that there's the obvious two, isn't it? Like you either play Kai Havertz there or you play Eddie there. I think that he'll play Kai Havertz now in that midfield role and Eddie up front. And Eddie has done well for us in the past, but he's no Jesus. And the disappointing thing from our point of view and as a fan is that the front three has not been together all season. For the first time, that was it on at the weekend. And this game here, obviously, bit ring rusty was Saka. But you looked at what all three of them done on Tuesday. I don't think Saka was at his best, but certainly Jesus and Martinelli were, and that's why we win the game.
Yeah. So
we now lose that again, and it'll be now another 4 or 5 weeks before that comes back again. So it is a disappointment. That I think Eddie will get the role. 2 goals in 30 games for Eddie.
Doesn't make for great reading that,
no.
But.
No.
I mean, listen, everyone who knows me knows what I think about Eddie. I like the guy as a player. He always gives his best. But we've got to also be honest, he's not the most prolific.
No.
And at this level, you're looking at a guy that can come in and get goals. And unfortunately, Eddie just doesn't get the goals that we need.
So you have to look at that. Maybe because of that reason, you play Havertz or you give him another go. But
certainly the balance of the team is disrupted.
Yeah.
If we could just look at, I was going to say, if we could just look at the 5 games coming up very quickly, because I know time is running. So that game against Sheffield United at the weekend. Now, no disrespect, but I would expect Arsenal to beat Sheffield United at home, with or without Jesus or Partey. I would firmly expect us to win that game. Likewise, the EFL Cup game against West Ham. I would imagine that we've got more than enough in the squad to beat West Ham. Not by any means saying that that's not going to be a difficult game. I certainly expect it to be a more challenging game for Arsenal than Sheffield United. But I do expect us to beat West Ham, even if it is away. The next couple games after that, though, Newcastle is a very big game. It's also away from home. A place where in the past we have had our problems. We did beat them there last year, but if you remember the year before that, they did beat us quite comprehensively and spoil out any chance we had of a Champions League place. They are a good side with some big players, so that is going to be a big game. And of course, the Sevilla return game is a massive game also. So what's your thoughts on that, right?
Yeah, just those 2 games there is where we're going to miss Jesus massively, I think. The West Ham game, I think, because West Ham are in Europe as well, they make changes as well, so it'll be too, not second string, but squad game rotation in that one. And I think that we'd start off as favourites because our squad's a little bit stronger than West Ham's, and rightly so. But I quite like it, the fact that we've got someone like West Ham that will rotate as well, so that will help us out. Sheffield United, I still think it'll be a difficult game, but I think the likes of Jesus, I feel more confident he's playing because he can open the door at any stage. But it is that Newcastle and Seville games. Seville were a very, very good side. We played really, really well. But take Jesus out of that, I don't think we win that game.
Well, he
So,
was man of the match, wasn't he? Against
yeah,
Sevilla,
man of the
no
match.
doubt about it. So
Created and scored. So someone's got to step up there. It's going to be a difficult game that now. So I worry about those two games in that. Burnley, we should take care of business because we're at home. If we can't, then there's something wrong. And then if we struggle in these 5 games, you've got to look at the recruitment and say, well, the squad's not strong enough. And that was your decisions to do that when January come. When the summer come. I think that we'll be okay. I think that some players have got to step up. But as I say, the players that are going to come in, and I'm looking at Kai Havertz and Eddie, they have got to step up. If they step up, Arsenal will be okay. If they don't step up, we're going to be struggling in the next few weeks, Lloyd.
Agree. I couldn't agree more, in fact. Well said, Lee. That's all we're going to say for now, unless you've got anything else you want to add. But
No, just a speedy recovery to Thomas and Gabby.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we always say that it's a squad game. And as I said earlier, it's very unfortunate what's happened with regards to those 2 guys and regards to the balance of the team. But as I also said, when you have injuries like this, it also offers opportunities for guys in the squad, some of them on the periphery, to come in, state their claim, and hopefully take things forward. But listen, bro, thank you very much for coming on at such short notice. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and we will see you soon. Take care.